Yo, what's up, guys? Shujinkiting here, and welcome back to another edition of the Bonehawk podcast. Today we are streaming live on YouTube because it worked out so great for us last time. I am joined, as always, by Hater and Shiro. What is up, gentlemen?
Hello.
Hi.
Hey, we were talking about. I'm going to start this off with something funny. We were starting off with. We're just talking about MK and brought up Mary Kay, and I wanted to tell a fun story that happened to me. So at the reveal, if you were invited, you got these duffel bags, and one side says MK and like the MK11 logo, like just MK, and the other has the dragon on it. Which I didn't really have much of a use for, so I've been using it as my gym bag. And so
They think you sell makeup on the side.
It was sitting on the bench while I was getting changed, and some guy walks by and giggles. He's like, my girlfriend sells that stuff. I turned around and I was like, no, it's Mortal Kombat. I turned around and I shut up. He's like, you saved yourself on that one, man. I was like, I had never even considered that could be mistaken for that. I totally forgot that
That
was
is
a thing.
pretty funny.
Yeah, but you think?
What if you would have been like, "Sup? How hook me up with some of that eyeshadow? What do you got there?"
Yeah.
Got that Melina eyeshadow.
Oh God. Yeah, if anyone needs it, it's her.
Some Baraka lip balm. Or lip gloss.
I have no lips.
I was gonna say, that's one of
why
my,
it's such a great
That's our
product.
thing.
that's one of his things. Like,
It'll make it look like you got him.
He needs Jergens. His skin looks a little. Some Lubriderm for that man.
Jeez.
All right, now I need to see Baraka with lipstick on. That is super.
Oh,
All right.
It's probably
Yeah.
somewhere out there on the internet.
Oh, I'm sure it is. If not, I'll just make it over the course of this podcast. So
Yeah.
let's dive into things. The Collector was shown today. I personally am super excited for that character. What were your guys' initial thoughts? Whoever wants to talk first or louder.
It looked very interesting. Find it funny, he's got like 6 arms and 2 of them are just holding... Well, actually, technically 4 of them are holding his backpack.
Yeah, that must be one heavy-ass backpack. I'm sure he has a lot of stuff in there, though.
No, yeah, and body parts too. I don't know if y'all saw that in his fatality. Like, as he's ripping their body apart, he's stuffing it in his backpack.
that was like so. Well, that was like the first thing I noticed. Like about the fatality, the first thing I was like, well, this is like the Melina fatality from MKX, right? Where she just kind of pushes you down and starts just tearing at your guts.
Yeah.
Then you start trying to slide away. But then I saw somebody, shout outs to Akio of 100, pointed out on Twitter. He's like, look at that again. And he's like scavenging body parts, right? If you watch that in slow motion, he's like digging through you, but he's like scrutinizing what he's pulling out of you, like looking for fucking treasure or something. Something that he can keep. It's crazy. It's so good.
That shit in the black market.
Oh my god. The whole idea of him, like being a Shylock, right? He's a collector, but he's not. Everyone, when he kind of leaked, they're like, oh, like Shang Tsung, like a collector of souls. I hope it's not that or whatever. But he's literally like, so he's like, no, he's Shinnok's like taxman, his like Shylock. He's the guy that goes around Outworld or whatever. It's like, okay, well, you owe tribute, you owe taxes, whatever. He's like an enforcer.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm wondering if that's how he ends up in the timeline, right? Like, we see Kronika bring back Shao Kahn at the same time as, like, in that story trailer, as like Kano and Baraka and all of them. Obviously, we didn't get the full picture of who she brought back because they left Katana out of the story trailer, but then they showed her in the old school versus new school coming in the same scene.
Yeah, I'm surprised that they haven't shown her off yet. But
yeah, I think they're just kind of. I think they're gonna do a lady combat cast next week. I think there's only the 3 left: Frost, Katana, and Devora.
right.
But I'm wondering if Shao Kahn was like, you got to bring my boy back too. He's like a right hand man, like an enforcer.
Yeah.
Collector. And he's a new race that hasn't been in Mortal Kombat before.
Yeah, I thought he was going to be like, when I first saw like the very first picture of him, I thought he was going to be like some sort of like Shokan.
Shaukin.
Yeah, kind
like
of.
a Shaukin or like
something.
some sort of cousin race or something. But no, he's got 6 arms. There's 2 little baby arms that we couldn't see in the story trailer when we first saw him.
Yeah. With little baby arms.
That are holding onto his backpack. Like, it's so cool. And he's like swapping arms as he's doing his moves. He's using like all 6 of his arms, depending on what he's doing. One has his like weapon, so his weapon's like that. It's like that flail. It's like a mace on a chain sort of thing. But he's also holding blades in other hands. He's got the bolas that he pulls out of his pack and throws at you. Dude, he looks awesome. Like
he looks like a lot of fun. I like the one move where he throws the green shit on the ground.
Yeah.
That I thought that was really cool. And then the crushing blow requirement for it. Oh man.
Yeah, so those have to be like paired. Those are going to be paired together in some sort of variation, right? Like they kind of go like hand in hand.
Oh yeah, absolutely. It would be kind of weird not to not to have them paired. Which
so he's a new race that they called the Knock-Nada is his race.
They and there are Knock-Nada jokes.
Knock-Naka.
Knock-Nada.
Maximilian was saying he looks like a Killer Instinct character.
He kind of does, actually.
Yeah,
I mean, I didn't play that game a whole lot, so I'm not like super, don't know. I'm not the expert, but yeah, I'd say he'd fit in that universe pretty well.
He's definitely very colorful, I noticed. Like, there was a lot of colors going on in that trailer.
He's cool, and he's got the kind of, like, weird voice, like the kind of reptile, Baraka style, sort of, like, hissy sort of voice that I was kind of, like... It took me aback at first, but the more... I've rewatched the trailer probably more than... I mean, it just came out today, and I've probably seen it more than any other character's trailer. I just am mesmerized by this character.
Yeah.
And the voice grew on me. I don't think it's going to be, like, a problem. I'm actually really looking forward to a lot of the dialogue and stuff like that. I want to see what role he plays in this story, or if he's just going to be a jobber.
I want to know where he came from, and like why has he not been in any other game up until now? Like, that's my question.
I think it was before, like, the Shao Kahn's younger. We kind of touched on Shao Kahn before, right? Because he's got the dragon arm and kind of like that old school armor and stuff like that.
Right.
Like, this is probably drawing Shao Kahn from an era where he recently took over as emperor, probably soon after. Like he usurped Onaga or something like that, and it's part of his posse.
Usurped is such a great word.
It is. They use that a lot in Star Wars. Like, I swear to God, it was in every other sentence in Knights of the Old Republic, the one that came out in like 2003 or whatever. It's like been in my brain ever since.
I think they use it in Game of Thrones a lot too.
Yeah, it's really common in that sort of like when you have like royalty, right? Like a kingdom, the throne can be overthrown. Usurp.
I like
right.
I like using furthermore. I think I sound very, very brilliant when I use it.
You know, like that new Winnie the Pooh meme?
Yeah.
Furthermore.
Furthermore, he's got the freaking jacket on. Yeah. That's funny. I put my Baraka with lipstick on the screen if you guys haven't seen it. But
yeah, I saw that.
Oh, boy.
It literally took me like a second, but...
I think he fits Mortal Kombat. I think he fits really well into the Mortal Kombat universe. He looks like he belongs. Jesus.
Oh, absolutely.
Is that lipstick or is that just Microsoft Paint? You just put your little circle around his mouth.
Well, I'm sure that's how. If Baraka had to apply lipstick, I'm sure that's how he'd do it.
It's like you know when like old ladies apply their lipstick. With people that wear too much makeup and they go outside the tissue of their lip, it's like actually on the fleshy part beyond it, and they just look like clowns. That's what it's like. It's like he's some Buffalo Bill stuff going on there.
Buffalo Bill.
Buffalo Baraka.
Buffalo Baraka. That's gonna be one of my variation names.
It puts the lotion on its skin.
Right. Goodbye, horses.
Jeez.
So, any more thoughts on the Collector? I was not expecting to see him today. That caught me off guard.
He looks swag as fuck. Looks like they reused some stuff from Scarecrow. They've been reusing some assets. I mean, when we get to Cetrion, we probably have some things to say about some reused assets and stuff as well. But
yeah,
I don't think it's necessarily a bad thing.
Yeah. No,
he looks cool. He looks super swag.
If they can do it right, I'm all for it. That's the main thing. I don't like his fucking freaky little legs, though. I'm with 16-bit on this one. They kind of gross me out just to look at him.
His knees are weird.
Yeah.
Did you see his his down two?
His
down two crocheting blow. They nice zoom up on his palm. Like he comes up with like a flat palm underneath their chin. Ooh. It's not like an uppercut punch. He's like coming up with a flat, like hitting with the butt of his hand underneath.
And he's using like the arms on his back, right? Like
Dude, I'm excited to try him. He's definitely going to be one of the first characters that I try.
He's got some real trap move looking like stuff, which I always enjoy. I like that kind of stuff. Trap characters interest me. It sucks that my Captain Cold was never that great because he was super fun to trap with, but yeah, hopefully that he has some stuff like that I can play around with.
So there was a trap character described today on the Combat Cast.
There was.
Erron Black.
Oh yes, there was indeed. Erron Black.
Described explicitly as a trap sort of 50-50 mixed character.
What do you think
Trapper Keeper?
What do you think of Erron Black's appearance in this game? Like what they showed off?
I thought he looked alright.
I think all the renders and stuff of him look cool, but in action I think he looks like a cartoon character. Like that forward throw with the dynamite, all it's missing is like an action.
Okay. I had the exact same thought when I saw him do that, like fire the gun, which conveniently lit the fuse to the dynamite, and he just tosses it nonchalantly. I was like,
they're just
what
like,
the fuck is this Wile E. Coyote shit?
Stuff, and it's like, exactly. Like, I mean, we're not the. I think that's kind of a universal thought. I've seen that comment made a few times, but it's cool how like the blast blows off his hat and then he catches it.
That was such a nice touch.
It is. That's the kind of like detail I'm looking for in this game, and they're so good at that. But he didn't. It's crazy to me how much. So you see it happening in our Discord. I see it all over. It's like, so I saw like right away Scar and Silver Eye and Chopperazzi and a bunch of guys like meh on the Collector,
right?
And other people just like so gung ho about Erron Black, and Sonic Fox is like, yep, my main's back. I'm all in, right? On Erron Black, and he didn't do much for me. And it's just, we've had this conversation with other, like we were talking about Scarlet, right? Like I'm all in on Scarlet right now, and have been on like the beta. Well, not all in, but mostly in. I'm past toes in the water, but you're like, she doesn't really do much for me, and I think that's cool. Like I think we're gonna have a lot of character variety because of that sort of.
I hope so, because it felt like I felt like everybody was kind of on the same page in the beta. Like I never really, Cabal was a little ridiculous, especially that downward air thing. But outside of that, it felt like a pretty balanced game. You know, there wasn't anything that seemed too overpowered or ridiculous. That was, a little bit of adaptation didn't fix. Right? I don't know if you guys found the same, but
I mean, it was mixed. I played against like bad Cabals, and I played against really good Cabals. Yeah, so it really depended. Like, I didn't really get much chance to learn the matchup. I think I spent more time in the Jade Mirror, sadly.
I spent a lot of time in the Scarlet Mirror and playing against Scorpions for the most part, so it was basically the same as I had in the stress test.
Ooh, I played some bad Scorpions. It was kind of funny, though. Like, I felt bad, but it was also funny.
I felt bad, but it was
I don't feel bad, motherfuckers mashing on +7. I'm gonna beat the shit out of you.
No, one of them did like 3 teleports in a row. I was like, stop.
I remember that. Like when I was first playing MKX, and I would just sit there. Do you remember like? So even when I first started Injustice, before I knew better, like my first lesson with Deke, he's like, I'm literally. So I was playing Cheetah, and he's like, I'm just waiting for you to pounce at me and just punishing you for it. It's like you don't know what to do. Like, so you just do the most unsafe shit to get you in as possible, which is teleports or like whatever, like. I don't know.
Yep. It's true, man. But, half the time I just sit there and block and let everyone hang themselves, you know?
That's basically what I had to do the entire stress test in the beta for the most part. I actually was able to meet up with Carl a couple times and Rex.
Oh, nice.
I ended up matching up with. So I got some sets with people like so we could actually talk while we were going through stuff and played some really good games. Carl and I had some really good mind games going on because we met up like 3 separate times. So like that last set we played was the only time I ever played Jade against a real person.
Man, Jade was so fun.
She surprised me. She's one of those characters that was like Enchantress in Injustice, to where, oh, she looks cool. I like the way she looks, but I like kind of played her and I was like, I'm not feeling this at all. Strings like her back 3-4, 3-4 drive me nuts. When I have to hit 3 buttons for 2 hits to come out, that shit drives me crazy.
That's definitely one complaint I have.
Yeah, I could never really get the cancel part of that string, because there was like you could cancel it at the end, and I never did get that to work.
It got better with time, and the more I played her, the more like I'm excited to play her when the game comes out. Like I think a lot about Jade corner combos, stuff like that. Like,
Yeah,
spend a lot of time daydreaming about that.
Yeah, like my problem, and people that I know, because where I live, like almost everybody like plays, Street Fighter and Tekken and things like that. The one thing that turns them off from NRS games are how the dial-up combos work.
Right.
And granted that Tekken has a similar format where you do use strings, a lot of strings you don't have to commit to as hard as some NRS ones do. Jade's was it back 3-4-3 is one of those for sure. I really wish they would kind of ease that a bit just to make it not as ridiculous to use.
Luckily, that string is also a really good stagger, right? So if you fucked it up, it ended up early or something like that, you're generally safe. And
like
it's
the
still
finisher,
a
like the
stagger,
4 is
so
like +5 on block too, I think.
huge gap, and all of that stuff. But yeah, she's got good mind games with that, and it's a good mid. Like, it's got decent range and all of that sort of stuff. But I wasn't super comfortable with it. I had a really good time just chilling. And I spent almost all of my meter on Shadow Kick meter burns, just trying to get that damage, right? Just killing people 110 damage at a time or whatever it was.
I was all about the forward 2 low ball, or forward 2, back 2, that long overhead.
Oh,
the
yeah,
double
yeah.
hitting. Yeah, because I was like, I caught
Good
so many
shit.
people with that. It was
This is now a Jade stream.
yeah,
Right.
yeah, I know. Let's save our gushing for the beta for later. Let's
Oh,
get
yeah,
through
yeah,
these
yeah.
characters
Yeah,
first.
yeah.
So,
Erron Black.
Erron Black, the man.
Okay.
That gun move he has where he walks forward with the gun. And
Yeah,
does
I've
8
got
shots.
thoughts about that.
Yeah, let's hear him, Shiro. What do you got for me?
So this is a little nitpicky, but for a move that you have to keep in mind how many bullets he got on there, it's
I
like,
love it.
would it have been too much trouble just to add like a little extra counter or meter? But otherwise, that's just a nitpicky. But yeah, otherwise that's my main nitpick, is that I think it's like I think they probably should have a little counter on how much bullets he's got in the rifle.
What would they do though? What would you do to keep track of eight bullets?
Could you have
Just
like
have a little counter?
Could you have like a
What, you want like an
window?
actual number to come up, like pop up on the screen?
Hater sounds so offended.
I mean,
by this.
yeah, I'm like, this
No,
is-
I'm actually that's a legit. Sorry, I don't mean to sound.
No, I'm just like, yes, I'm also like, what the fuck? Because this isn't something new. Maybe for NRS, but like a lot of fighting games have done that. They'll have like a counter showing, if there's like a certain move that they have to refill, or if they have like a special gauge. Like it's not something
They would have
new.
I could see a special gauge or something like that, but I think numbers would like ruin the kind of UI aesthetic, unless it was like a unit, like lots of characters had that sort of thing.
It can vary, and it's not like a huge ass thing. Like the UI is very spread out and very minimalistic. I don't really think it would be that big of a deal to have like a very small, like, just right in that 90-degree little corner, you can just put like a fucking picture of a bullet with a number.
Sure, or even just like a meter that you could visually tell, like when it's a halfway, you have 4. But I think that it's going to challenge people to keep track of it. It's going to fuck people that don't keep track of it. Because they're going to go to shoot and they're going to be walking forward and no bullets are going to come out. It's going to be hilarious.
Kill me, please.
But your opponent's got to keep track of that too, right? Like we've all seen in the movies, right? You've only got 1 bullet left.
Pull some dirty hairy shit.
So people are going to be using their time, like their turns or whatever, to reload, probably when they don't need to, or just to make sure that they're topped off and things like that. But the opponent's got to keep track of that too.
I'm sure there'll be setups where you can like knock them down and get some time to reload.
Sure, like Captain Cold trait sort of like stuff.
For how powerful that move seemed, like it looked like he was juggling. I mean, like, I think he only juggled him like 3 times. It looked like he could have easily juggled him more, full screen projectile, like super fast. I think that's probably warranted, having to keep track of it, but at the same time it sounds incredibly difficult, keeping track of, like, if you use like 4 bullets at the very start of a match and then you get to use the move at all until the end. It comes down to a clutch moment or something, right? So I don't know.
I love that they brought his double kick back and that it's an overhead. I love moves like that, like the kick, like that's how Noob Saibot's like his fatal blow and stuff like that, just the whole both feet up in the air sort of thing. I think it's cool. My biggest hot take about Erron Black is that I absolutely hate The idea that they took out caltrops and now he's got that neon green reptile poison.
yeah.
However, whatever the lore meant it is to rationalize that. Like, I just was rolling my eyes so hard.
I would think it's probably because they figured the caltrops would probably be too difficult to see on the ground.
I think they wanted to kind of reinvent him like a little bit, give him something like new, and so somebody thought that was an awesome idea, and I just, man, I don't know how I feel about that.
Did he like kill Reptile in the comics or something? Is that why?
Maybe they're buddies. No, maybe he's Reptile's milking himself for old Erron Black.
Amigo, just spit in my jar today.
He's like, I got some new juice for you, Erron.
It's a living. Oh, shit.
It's not much, but it's honest work.
I know, right? Here's a couple Shao Kahn gold coins. Here's the coins I just shot through Sub-Zero's face.
Yeah, it's still bloody and shit.
I'm a little disappointed that his sand grenades seem to be gone.
That was such a unique
I thought that was cool.
Yeah.
Like the sand fatality was cheesy, but the idea of the sand grenades and stuff I thought was really cool.
Yeah, I agree. I thought that was a very cool, like, unique move that I haven't really seen anywhere else. And it might make sense being from Texas. I think I know somebody from Texas.
I like that archetype, and I think that he fits in Mortal Kombat, even though it's that kind of Texas cowboy sort of thing. He's like an old school like desperado, like an old badass. Like
I think he needs to keep the mask and he needs to keep the hat because he looks weird without those. The mask kind of gives him that Mortal Kombat look. Like, it differentiates him from, like, a gunslinger to actually, like, a Mortal Kombat gunslinger, in my opinion. And
he also had that he had that Jared Leto eyeliner in MKX that I think that they didn't really give him in this one. And I thought that was a cool part of his look at MKX.
Yeah. I don't really have an opinion on that, I guess. I mean, sure, let's give him some eyeliner to make Hater happy.
Hey, you're the one with the MK bag. You don't have an opinion on Erron Black's eyeliner?
Watch them release their own line of Erron Black eyeliner.
Isn't that what you sell out of that thing?
That's the whole reason I have it. Was there anything else to talk about Erron Black? Did we miss
I thought
anything?
the bear trap looked kind of weird. But I'm
Oh,
trying to
the
find
trap.
the footage, but
I love that if you amplify it, he kicks it across, or he slides it across, and it just hits you. If you're not blocking, so you can keep it static, or if you amplify it, it slides towards you. I thought that was really cool. I like the idea of that. What did they call it? The Nether Beast, the Outworld Nether Beast. It's like the jaw of some monster that he turned into a bear trap.
Man, that's
wow.
cool. I didn't get
I
that
think
far
that's
on the
cool.
stream, I don't think. I don't remember saying that, but Erron Black is the only one that I didn't get to fully review, so I saw most of it, but not all of it.
he throws the gun at you. What the fuck?
Who throws a gun, honestly?
Yeah, the butt of the gun. It's the first time we've seen this full fatal blow. We saw parts of it in the story trailer, like the coin shot and stuff like that, but we didn't see the whole thing. It looks cool. I'm happy for Erron Black fans. He doesn't do much for me. I saw Sidelock talking. He seems pretty excited about him. I'm happy that... So this goes into exactly what I was saying, right? He didn't do much for me, and then other people are just going crazy about him. And I think that's cool. I think it's going to give us a really cool roster diversity.
Yeah, I'm the same way. He looks awesome. He looks like he's got some interesting moves. Doesn't really interest me as far as playstyle, but I think that Erron Black fans will be happy.
Yeah, I mean, he was like the most popular new character in 10, wasn't he?
Yeah, he was. I think... I don't really know why that was. He had
Because cowboys.
Because cowboys. He had an awesome voice actor in MKX, and I did
Troy Baker.
I didn't see if they brought him back for 11 or not.
I saw some people talking about it on Reddit. People seem to think that it's him. No, Matt Mercer did somebody else, didn't he? Or maybe I have those two confused. Or maybe the people I was listening to are confused.
Could be. I mean, it's definitely understandable because there's actually quite a few roles where they do interchange. Like in Persona 4, I think in the vanilla game, there was a character, Kanji, who was voiced by Matt Mercer. And then when they did Golden, which was like a special version with extra content and stuff, Troy Baker took over, or vice versa. So...
Isn't one of them doing Cabal's voice?
Okay, oh wait, yeah, okay, so it was Troy Baker who was Erron Black. Okay.
Oh, it was.
I just proved my own point.
There you go. I'm happy with that. That voice actor.
These are like legendary voice actors. I think it's so cool that they can get these guys to reprise these roles and stuff because, I mean, there's a reason why these people are in like really high demand. I think even like Cetrion sounds like Jennifer Hill to me. Like we can get onto that when we talk about her or whatever. But and she's another really big.
Oh man, if it's Jennifer Hale,
I don't know if that's confirmed. It sounds similar to me.
Okay, so that is Erron Black. And there was another
according
character.
to IMDb, it's a Mary Elizabeth McGlynn.
Oh, okay.
McGlynn, McGonagall. I don't know what that was.
She was in Vampire Hunter D.
What does the D stand for?
I was just
Dick. No. Oh shit! Demonetized. Fuck. I'm sorry. Shit.
Continues to say other expletives.
Yeah.
Oh my god! I said dick. Sorry. Fuck. Shit. God damn it. Baby puke. Oh. Noob Saibot. Oh boy. What a
My
snack.
sentence exactly.
Exactly. He looks so cool. Like Liu Kang and his teleport 50-50, I was very concerned when I saw he has a dive kick that doesn't actually dive kick at you.
It's got no hurt box. You can't punish him for it. Maybe on block or something if you have a good reversal, like a Jade Shadow Kick or Cell Siphon or something, if he gets too cheeky and does it too close, but he's not left in your face, right?
No, it's like Mason must have popped a huge one when he freaking saw that. Like
I don't think that's part of his core set.
It can't be. It's too powerful.
I think the only shadow clones, so his bio confirms that he's using like shadow magic, right? That's the power that Quan Chi gave to him when he was resurrected, and now that Quan Chi is dead, he kind of has his freedom back. He's no longer under that control, so he's kind of like doing his own thing. So these shadow clones, the one that runs across the screen is part of his core set, his default set. The anti-air one is part of his core set.
Right.
And maybe I want to say slide, but I can't say for certain whether that one is or not. But the one where he sends you his like main projectile, that crushing blow he gets on the 10th clone move that you use.
Right.
Which is an interesting crushing blow requirement.
That is interesting. It encourages.
You're going to be using that a lot.
I guess not really zoning, because like the upward shadow and the dive kick both kind of count as I found it. My initial thought is it'd be really easy to make a strong zoning variation out of it, and he has a teleport.
They called him a zoner.
Yeah, I don't know.
They said, yeah,
teleport is part of his main moveset or not. Was it or no?
The teleport is, yes.
A zoner with a teleport. Scary stuff.
Zoner with a teleport. That's going to be a cool.
That's fair. No, mind games. That will be good mind games. Like, oh fuck.
Well, people used to being able to get away with shit from like full screen, right? Like blocking a scorpion spear or something like that. Yeah. And if you're full screen, not every character has an answer for that.
That's true.
Well, in the stress test, I feel like most of them did, but I don't think anyone will. But like teleport would be good in that instance, right? Like somebody that would normally be safe because of spacing, you could use a reversal teleport or something. Or it's counter zoning, right? You catch them in the startup or recovery of a projectile, something like that.
Something else that freaked me out was when they said the ghost ball is unblockable.
Yep.
And they're like,
looks really slow.
It's like it has a slow startup, but didn't look that slow to me. And it looked like maybe it was a mid. That would be like crazy. Or like hit mid, so like you can't duck it.
They said it anti-airs too. People try to jump over it and it hits you out of the air.
Oh jeez.
That's going to be an interesting one too.
It takes and it will rob 1 bar of defense and 1 bar of offensive stamina from you, which means that if you can convert into that, or you take your turn, you open them up, there's going to be no breakaways.
It's true. That's true. So it'll be
maybe it's just part of his game plan. Seems cheap, but maybe that's what kind of like he's weak in other areas, and so this is what helps balance that.
It's hard
out.
to say.
I'm sure there'll be setups for that, but I don't think we're gonna see people using that too liberally.
The comparison I always like to make is Takeda and MKX. Everyone freaked out about his range and the moves he had, and upon release ended up being like the worst character in the game. So
It's true.
I saw someone use that example recently. I remember you saying that before, then I saw somebody else bring that up, and I was like, oh, hey, yeah.
yeah, it's a lot of people forget about that, but
People
Pepper's
just
Farm
love
remembers.
their hot takes, right? They just...
People
can't wait to
Yeah.
fucking get angry about stuff. It's
people
driving me
love their
crazy.
opinions. People love their opinions, man. It's great.
I'm a person on the internet and I'm angry. Yeah.
Oh, did they mention whether his running man was a mid or an overhead? I kind
Yeah,
of
well, they didn't say either way. It definitely looks like a mid. He hits you pretty low.
because in MK9 it was an overhead, and that was his mix. He had the low slide that was a low, and then he had the running man, which was an overhead. So he had like 50-50 zoning, which was really annoying. So
Yeah,
it was-
they didn't mention it either way. I feel like that would have... Well, I wouldn't put it past them to neglect to say something because they forget to say shit all the time.
That's
Or just
true.
kind of like glaze over stuff just because, you know, got to get to birthday shout-outs or something.
or belt battles, blah blah blah.
Oh yeah.
The bell battle today was actually pretty cool. The bell battle today, well, we saw Tyler play Jax, and Jax looks pretty fucking good. And we saw that Jade's 4-2-1 now pops up for a combo mid-screen.
Oh really?
Yep.
Oh, that's interesting.
So she could probably connect a back 3 off of it or something. You'll probably get like a back 2 or a back 3 off of it.
Too many people.
It's not going to be a huge
complain.
combo, but...
Well,
you know, when
something-
I was playing her in the beta, I was like, this feels pretty balanced to me. People complaining about it being... There's people saying that she had no combos, she was worthless, and other people saying she's fine, but she's kind of boring because she has no combos.
Yeah.
I thought she was just fun. I had so much fun playing her. And
I agree. I had a
I felt like I
blast
was
playing
killing
her.
people just fine. Like, just picking them, whittling them away, like, little by little, right? Like, you're not doing Cabal or Scorpion combos or Baraka combos.
Mm-hmm.
So you've got to touch them that many more times, but you almost have the tools to do so. You've got a fucking normal that goes like a quarter of the screen.
Yeah, she's got so
Like-
much good range.
The best whiff punish in the beta, for sure.
Yeah, she controls that mid ground so well that I was just, like you're saying, chipping people out 74 damage at a time, you know? It took a while for me to kill them, but, I mean, at the same time, I have to hold them in that range and continually open them up. So.
Her chip damage was really good, and, dude, that shadow kick was so good for
Yes.
punishing people, just
It was pretty
doing things they thought they were in a good range to do, and it's like, nope. And that had to have been at least half my damage, and every match I played with her was just whiff punishing people. And that's what I was just dumping my meter on, just to try to milk that damage more and more and more. I don't know. What were you spending your meter on when you were playing Jade?
A lot of the
So
EX...
Jade stream again.
Yeah, he
Oh,
goes back to this.
We're talking about Jade again. Sorry.
Yeah, it just keeps going back.
She's
to
that
it.
good. She's just that good.
Dude.
To answer your
It's the
question,
vortex.
I spent most of my meter on the EX Glaive.
The straight one?
Yeah, the straight one.
It's good. It's
I
good
just,
move.
I don't know. I was having, because against Cabal, it felt like she was the only character that I could play because her upwards air glaive kept him out of the air from jumping. And when I played as Baraka, I had a hell of a time dealing with that. It was really annoying.
Yeah. I mean, it's so slow. It's like active for so fucking long. It's just like chilling there.
You can't punish him for it or anything. And that was probably the most annoying thing in the beta for me. I'm sure they'll address it come release, but or maybe I'm not good. I just need to get better. You know, I haven't really had time to play. Before we get deep into this topic, there's more I want to talk about. Is there anything else we want to say about Noob?
He looks awesome. Another super high on my list to try very early on. I think he's going to be everywhere, though. Everyone's going to know the Noob matchup because everyone's going to be playing Noob. So
Yeah.
He just seems like a noob character. So
Jesus.
he looks like a fucking edgelord. He's so edgy and dark.
Yeah.
People are just going to be all over it, right?
Yeah,
like
you're not wrong there. That's for damn sure.
he's
yeah,
just...
you're gonna see like X Death Reaper X420XX play them on launch. So so watch out.
There's going to be a lot of Noob Saibots using that fatality timer just to fucking teabag you and then fatality you at the last minute.
Yep. Absolutely. And I love the animations, like the poses and shit that he does, and how like the little shadow dude like imitates him. I thought that was a nice touch.
All sorts of his air projectile, and that's one variation they showed of him. So that downward projectile where he throws his sickle down and it always lands behind them. It's like a teleport behind them, but if
Yeah.
you meter burns it, it launches them. They showed that in his gameplay trailer as well. That looks cool. Like
They said
he
that
looks
was
like he's gonna have some setups and stuff.
They said that was an overhead too, I think.
Is it?
I think so.
Oh, man.
I could be wrong, but I'm pretty sure they mentioned it was an overhead. I kind of skimmed through it, so
he had an overhead. He had, like one that kind of like went up and then came down on top of you. But the one I'm talking about, like when he jumps up into the air and throws the sickle down, and it always goes like behind them. It's like a little teleport move.
Oh, okay.
And if you amplify it, like so, if they're not blocking, it'll launch them for a combo.
Right.
He looks awesome. Like we talked about him, I think, on the last podcast. He was announced at the C2E2, I think, right before we did our last one.
Yeah.
Did we talk about him? Like when we talked about like Kodal and Jackie and all of them?
Yeah, we briefly touched on him, I think. We didn't have the gameplay at that time, so there wasn't...
Yeah, they didn't announce me too much on him, so...
Yeah, so touched on him a little bit. But I agree. He looks really cool. I know a lot of people are going to be super happy that he's back. A lot of people that were waiting for him and were mad he wasn't MKX. Now I have that same feeling with frickin' Quan Chi.
Think about how much better it's going to feel when he's in the next one, though. You went so long without him, you'll just be like, it'll feel nice.
That's true. There's no way that he's gone forever.
And then they'll bring back the fatality from Deadly Alliance.
Oh, God. The next stretch fatality?
Yeah.
That would be
one
awesome.
that even
Ed Boon said in that little interview thing, right?
Yeah, he was like,
the fatality he regrets. He's like, I can't believe we shipped the game with that. Like, he's just embarrassed by it.
It looks so stupid.
He didn't even hesitate. He didn't even hesitate to give that as an answer for like the one that he would take back or whatever. He's like, got Quan Chi MK5. Can't even believe we shipped it with that.
Who's I don't know who thought of that. Who thought that would be a good idea, or did they still have a job after that? Like, that's what I'm wondering.
Just give a dude a pink slip right after they do that.
Like, well, we ran out of time, so we had to include it, but you're also fired. Oh, man. Memories, man.
Probably went homeless because of that. Like,
yeah, he's in some halfway house.
He's like in a homeless shelter, like sharing stories. Like, so what happened to you? It's like, well, I made the fatality from Quan Chi and Deadly Alliance.
He's like, that giraffe neck bullshit, motherfucker. You deserve that. Get out of my room. Get out of my face. I'm gonna buy my crack from someone else. That's the dumbest shit I ever seen.
We're not too kind to you.
Right.
Oh,
yeah.
We don't take too kindly.
It's like, man, that shit was funny.
My son thought it was cool. Yeah, my mom thinks it's cool.
My mom thinks it's cool.
My mama said that fatality was special.
All right, so done with Noob. Let's touch, even though we don't have much, really, a little bit in the way of gameplay, let's touch on Cetrion?
Cetrion? We had our breakdown today from Game Informer.
Okay. It was very brief, incredibly brief. I mean, the video was only like 11 minutes long.
That's how, if you look at any of these isolated ones, that's about how much time they spend on any of these other ones.
Maybe it might have been just the way the interviewer was asking the question. I don't know. It seemed very, like, not very in-depth and very rushed. But it could have just been the interviewer. But
she's like a tie-dye t-shirt. She's very, very busy. There's a lot going on. My eyes aren't sure what to make about what's like happening.
This is true. I feel bad for people with color blindness.
I definitely didn't get a chance to see that game breakdown, which is kind of a shame. I wish. I saw her trailer. Her trailer looked really good.
Yeah.
She got like that kind of Black Adam-esque rock move thing going on.
So she's got multiple kind of like projectiles like that. So the rock can it's a mid and there's an aerial one, right?
So she's got those. I think what Dink's talking about is the little auras, the little rings she puts around herself. In her gameplay reveal, they showed the one. It was like, it reminded me of like the Earth Shield from like a Resto Shaman in Warcraft or something. It looks like she's standing in there and she's got those orbiting rocks. If you try to hit her, you will hit her, but those hit you back. You get like punished for it.
Okay.
And then there was, today in the gameplay, they showed a fire version of that, which is basically dot damage if they're standing in it.
Yeah.
She's got a water one that is like Aquaman's trait. Like, she can block in the middle of being hit if she's standing in that one.
I like the graphics that they did with that one. You can see the water, like, splashing onto the screen. Oh, that's kind of neat.
Dude, her water moves in particular look super, super good to me. The plant moves and the water moves, like,
Man, I'm so excited to watch that.
stylistically,
I did.
look awesome.
I stayed off Twitter today because I wanted to, have it all fresh in my mind when I came home from work, and ended up getting home late and didn't get time to see everything. So
I mean, it was a lot. Like, I feel like I've been playing catch up all day. Like, when her thing came out, I had to go. I took like a break at work and just watched it on my phone because I knew I'd be watching Combat Cast stuff later. I feel so. She's the god. She's an elder god.
she's Shinnok's
She
sister.
is the elder. She is the elder god of nature and life. So she's the opposite. She's the yin to Shinnok's yang. So they confirmed that. So they confirmed that she is Shinnok's sibling, and that Kronika is their parent. And Ed Boon in that interview confirmed that Kronika is not an elder god. She's actually higher than an elder god. So I'm wondering if all the I know some people can achieve elder god status through like just the way that Liu Kang and Raiden have in the past.
Right.
But the rest, I'm wondering if they're like the elder gods are related, like they're all sibling. I wonder.
I'm getting
at this point.
I'm getting like Mortal Kombat Annihilation vibes here.
So she was in the she was speculated in the story trailer when Raiden was pleading with the elder gods, and we could kind of see the back. Now that we know what she looks like, we could see like her little hovering, levitating rock like collar piece and her like seaweed sort of like hair, and how she's explaining how to beat Kronika, which is probably how she gets involved, right? She has a vested interest in what's happening, but is she foregoing her divinity by doing that, like how Raiden had to do, right? When he got Elder God status, and if you're going to be involved in mortal affairs, then
I think that's probably what happened. Is she's giving up her immortality to go down and.
Then why the fuck is she turning into the Jolly Green Giant, like as big as planet Earth?
Like, Jesus Christ! Like, can you really just do that? Just do that and take out Kronika. Like, what the fuck are you taking out Jade for? Like...
No shit. Dude, that fatality was silly to me. I know a lot of people were like, "Whoa, badass," and I was like, I was with you up until the end. That's like that Jax fatality where he turns into a giant and like steps on you is exactly what it reminded me of. And then it just kept going. The best thing about that fatality is the meme that came from it. Have you seen the Kotal Khan sun god command grab like brutality with like the big sunbeam? So that's the bottom half of the frame, and the top half of the frame is her like spitting that light out.
That's funny.
Yeah,
I like that.
I feel like they couldn't decide whether they wanted to make her like a druid or if they want to make her celestial like a god. So they did a little bit of both, and it feels a little too busy to me. Like it's like sensory overload. She looks great, but it's like almost too much to me. A little too. It's very loud to me.
Right. No, that makes sense. I get where you're coming from. There's kind of a lot going on there.
And she's got a tracking low that, if you're close enough, will allow for a combo. That shit better be as negative as Scorpion.
You have to meter though, don't you? You have to amplify it.
I don't know.
For it to lead into a combo, I think. I
got so hung up on a tracking low that I just maybe started like tuning out. I was like, I thought we were over this shit.
Yeah.
What about all the lessons that for 4 months they've been telling us how they've been focusing on footsies and neutral and jockeying and all of this stuff, and then here's all the fuck neutral stuff kind of getting introduced back in the equation. Hey, Liu Kang's got a teleport that's also a 50-50. And Cetrion has a tracking low. And like, not to mention, teleports and all that other stuff like Scorpion, which we've already kind of like had a dose of. I'm super excited to get punished for walking again.
Chat's going crazy. They want to know our thoughts on her second fatality. I actually haven't seen it, so
her second fatality
it better than her first one.
Awesome. It's 1,000 times better than her first one. I think you haven't seen it. She basically has this. Starts out with water, so she's in the element of water. Okay. And it's like a stream into your face. At first I thought it was like boiling, but there's no steam or anything. So it's got such trajectory that it like peels your skin off. So his face is just like all red, right? And then she uses fire to blow off your legs. So you've got these teeny little nubs and you're still landing on the ground. And then these kind of like sharp rocks. It reminds me of like Wolverine's claws. Like three stalagmites kind of like rise up from the ground, and they are all kind of like charred and lava looking like at the base, and they just come and just fucking slice
you.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's
Very
a lot.
straightforward, very much more of like a fatality I would expect in that first one.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I liked
man.
it a lot more than the first one. Like the first
I
one
thought
seemed
it
a
was
bit
great.
very extra.
A little extra. A
It was.
little.
It seemed kind of like one of those a little bit too much of like self-awareness. You know, that fatalities are supposed to be
A
silly.
little meta.
Mm-hmm.
Little meta. I like that word, meta. Meta, meta, meta.
It was kind of like, I mean, a lot of people were like, "Oh, Injustice, whatever." And I was like, I can kind of see like the whole space thing. Just had people thinking of like Supergirl and Starfire, or super moves.
Yeah.
Right.
Like I could have totally done without that. Like I know they want to go over the top, and I'm sure they're all patting themselves on the back for it. I know a lot of people are big fans, but
I mean, scientifically, it just doesn't make sense. How do you like grow
Sidelock
yourself
says you
to
do have to
literally
amplify that to get a
cosmic
combo.
proportions,
How does she
and
breathe?
then like just target one little tiny person?
Like, is that planet Earth realm? Like, how many planets are there? Like, what? Like, I don't know.
He said
Well,
that.
Ed Boon did state that our solar system is still an Earth realm.
Yep, even outside the solar system a little bit. He said there's no physical
Yeah.
confinement, but he says that it's not the entire universe.
Okay.
So Sidelock's pointing out in our own Discord that you do have to spend the bar to get the combo, and that don't worry about the low because there's a gap in it. So he did mention there's a gap if she's going to cancel into it for like the 50-50 because she's got a string that ends in an overhead, or you can just cancel into that low and there is a gap to be pointed out of.
Right.
I'm more concerned about being like full screen or like some sort of like spacing sort of thing, and she's throwing that out. Or I'm gonna wait till the game comes out until I can lab it. I don't know what the startup or the recovery or the block disadvantage is going to be. I'm just not stoked about tracking moves in general. But
I definitely agree with you. I dislike them. I disliked Aquaman's. I disliked Black Adam's. I thought it was a stupid idea. I was really happy for a new game because I thought they wouldn't be back.
But Dink, you haven't heard about the Fatal Blow.
Oh no, Fatal Blow.
it's like it's a ranged Fatal Blow.
Really?
a lot
like,
of people
it's-
have them though. Whoa, they showed Noob Saibot's also tracks.
Oh yeah.
So-
So like it pops up like is it an overhead? Because it pops up like right above them, right?
It looks like
Oh.
Green Lanterns. It reminded me of like Green Lantern Super.
Doesn't she like just drop something on you or something? Like a drop?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
So it's
don't
like,
know if
some
they'll make it
damage
an overhead or a
projectiles.
mid or something, but it's going to track you no matter where you are.
Yeah.
That seems fair. You know,
Fatal
just-
blows just seem to be strong. They kind of made a point to say that on the combat cast. Say like Erron Black's. Erron Black's is a projectile. It's going to have armor, so it's going to be like a really good counter projectile because if
Right.
you trade, then he obviously wins. But it's a high, so you can duck it. So I'm sure there'll be a way around hers. There'll be a way around noobs. Like how. I mean, we all just got out of that beta weekend against Cabal, who could do his, and his was super fucking fast, and it hit the other side of you, so it went around like the back side of you. So I don't think it'll be any worse than that.
Okay, great transition. Time to talk about the beta impressions. Blah blah blah.
Beta.
Beta.
Oh, do we get to talk about Jade? I'm
Oh yeah,
excited.
we haven't
Yeah,
done
we
that
can
yet.
talk about.
We haven't
Jade
talked about
some
Jade
more.
yet, right?
Oh wait, what about custom variations and DLC moves?
Oh man, that really disappointed me to hear that because I had so much fun and so many ideas on custom variations and tournaments and ranked and stuff. That was like, yeah, like that. This is so much fun. And then I actually got to play and use it and stuff. And I was like, this is great. You know, I ran into a trouble matchup in Cabal. I just go back and switch out one move and see if this will help me out anymore. And it was fun to experiment like that. And I think having like that option where not everybody who plays in a tournament is going to have the same variation, I thought that was really cool. I do, however, get how hard it would be to balance that, though.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I see why they went that way. I'm just disappointed that they couldn't figure something out with it.
Yeah, I would like to see for any people that may be TOs that happen to listen in. I think it would be kind of a neat idea to have like, you know, because it's probably going to make more sense in an online tournament. Maybe have like a format for that, right? Like you could have online tournaments where you use the stock variations, and then maybe have ones that use the customs. Assuming, of course, that there's no variations that might be like super broke or something. But
I mean, I'm sure there's going to be tournament rules with Warner Brothers having the pot and all of that sort of. That was a point that was brought up today. Like, we didn't have these rules back in MK9 and all that stuff, but there was no really money or backing, and now we've got
there weren't really
Warner Brothers and Pro Circuits and stuff, and they usually set those sorts of those rules. But it's a bummer that everyone's just going to have two to start. There'll be more. There obviously this was kind of like the last part, and they're rushing this. They didn't give themselves enough time to complete this game.
Yeah, from what I gathered, they
clear
said
as
at
day.
least 2. Some characters may have more than others. So one character
More than
might have,
others
like,
in the
4
future.
variations.
Like as they, I am not prepared to make a final judgment until the game's out and I kind of see what I have to deal with. I think it's going to be fun either way. I'm going to be really bummed out if I can't have Cell Siphon, Teleport, and Parry in the same variation.
Right.
Now, if they happen to make a variation with those 3, then I'm going to take that as a sign that I should be playing her. I got really used to Jade having the Deadly Assassin, like so the extra strings, plus the low projectile.
I heard almost everybody was playing that one.
Plus the low projectile, and what else did I use with her? What was my third one?
I know for me, I used the Adanian Spark, the what was it, the Deadly Assassin, and the Airglaive.
So I didn't use the Airglaive. What did I use instead of the Airglaive? I don't even fucking remember.
Yeah, I used the anti-airglaive, the downwards airglaive, and the Adanian Spark.
Oh, I used the pole vault. That's my third one.
I figured out like an hour before the beta ended how to cancel that. I was very sad.
You have to equip it.
Yeah,
it's an extra slotted ability.
Well, I had to hold 3 and then press back in L1.
Right, yeah, it has to be active.
Yeah, I kept trying to do it, and then as soon as I started holding X, it started working for me. You know, I didn't realize that was a requirement until I went into the towers, which, by the way, I was very happy that they added the towers and online to the beta.
Yeah.
Because I'm sure there's lots of people out there that pre-ordered that have no intention of playing online or just want to beat up their friends. So that's a good way for them to go and play the game against a decent AI and play around with like the custom variations and stuff. Because I think that's the whole reason a lot of people are going to buy the game. So
that's been their whole fucking sales pitch. How much money in the development did they put into all of this stuff, and then they're just taking it out for... I mean, we talk about how many units they sell to like the casual audience and all of that stuff, and Mortal Kombat X sold like 11 million units or something. But what's keeping this alive is the tournament circuit, in my opinion. And like, look at IPS Season 1 and Season 2. Look at what they've done with like the beta and basically all the free advertisement they got from streamers and all of this sort of like stuff. Just putting the word out there, just making their game available. Just so much free advertisement because of that. And then they're taking it all away from those people. Here's all this stuff you got to play or whatever, and the shitty part is that they didn't even set a precedent. They've kept us in the dark forever and ever and ever, and only now, 3 weeks before release, they kind of like dropped this bombshell. They kind of diffused it. They kind of explained more in the Combat Cast today. That's how we came with the 2 variations and all that stuff, and all of that they kind of confirmed, but it was still just... People were so reluctant about them at first, and then as soon as people started playing around with them, like, oh, this could work. You saw all these people saying there's no way this could work, and then as they played like the stress tests and stuff, everyone started like changing their tune, or most people did, from what I observed.
Yeah.
And then so you get all these people on board, and you're like, oh no, you're not doing, like, you can't have that anyway. Like, I understand the outcry and stuff. Their PR fucking sucks. Their communication, all that stuff, like,
I agree.
Just the fucking worst. The worst. Like, they could save themselves so much grief if they could just... I'm sure they're just not ready to say it, or they may be and have some sort of other restrictions, like with a publisher like Warner Brothers or something. Who even knows what happens? But they are just suspiciously silent on so many of these things, and I think they deserve all of that. They're making a great game, but they deserve all of that backlash. The kind of hell that they've created as far as this whole fucking narrative about custom versus competitive and all that stuff is their fault. They created this whole fucking thing. Like,
yeah, they did kind of advertise like, "Woo, custom variations."
It's been their whole selling point. The whole big thing about that was their big, like, variations being introduced in MKX was like the big thing, right? The new thing they wanted to introduce. Yeah. And then it was custom variations. We're going to take that. There's going to be a near infinite possibilities of loadouts that you can have to play the character exactly how you want. You know, in whatever matchups you want. Oh, wait, just kidding. You can't do that unless you want to do player matches.
Hey,
but if you want to compete, in any sort of way, nope. Which would have been fine if that was kind of the expectation up front. But it's just been, I don't know. I feel like a lot of people feel duped.
Yeah, duped. Yeah.
I was, heavy heart when they announced that. It was ripperoni for me. So hopefully,
I was relieved. I'm just happy to have an answer. I'm just happy that the fucking speculation is over. We know what we're getting. I'll save my final judgment for once I get my hands on it. I'm just happy that we have an answer. We can just stop fucking talking or speculating about it. We know what it's going to be now. I'm happy that we've gone over that hurdle.
That's a good talking point. And like you mentioned, I do believe that they kind of rushed it a little bit. Didn't give themselves enough time, which is what we've been saying for years, that they need to change their two-year format. Like that's not enough time, and it doesn't support the existing game for enough time. Even if they pushed it back an extra year, like when it wasn't announced at E3 last year, I was actually excited because I was like, yeah, they're taking their time. It's going to be a great game, and they're going to support it longer. And then they're like, psych, it's the same cycle, but we just waited even longer to tell you.
Yeah.
So
but at the same time, can you believe that we're like 2.5 weeks away from release, and we've only known about the game's existence for like 4 months? I think that's awesome at the same time.
Okay.
But I think it's a contract thing. Again, that Ed Boon interview, his like rapid fire questions, he was talking about, it'd be nice to take a break, like sort of thing. There's a lot of kind of like tongue-in-cheek jokes about that sort of. It sounds like they have a 6-game contractual obligation with WB.
Could be.
So Mortal Kombat 9, First Injustice. So this is the 5th. So there'll be one more, and then they can probably take their breather and do whatever it is that they're going to do.
What do you think they're going to do?
I don't know, but they have not said the word Injustice a single time. Today on the Comic Cast, they referred to it as their previous game. During the Cetrion breakdown today, when the interviewer brought up Injustice, 16-bit got a little awkward and silent. I think maybe they were trying to avoid all the comparisons to Injustice, which is weird because Mortal Kombat has existed way longer than Injustice has. Anything, Injustice has Mortal Kombat elements.
Well, a lot of people were saying that Mortal Kombat 11 looks like Injustice 3,
graphically,
zoning and shit, and I don't know.
As if a projectile's never existed in a fighting game ever.
Yeah, you ever watch Street Fighter 5? Any Street Fighter ever?
Not as MK9. The thing is, so the first Injustice kind of introduced interactables, and then they brought them into MKI. And so that's something that's definitely like an Injustice thing that they kind of merged into like both IPs.
Yeah, I like that. That's a good addition.
Well, except for plus 20 corner escape dive kicks, but other than that, I agree.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know how I feel about that. I think it should be plus, but not that. Or have more pushback.
I think so. Interactables already take a defensive stamina bar. If you're going to attack at the same time, it should work just like a wake up. It uses 1 bar of each.
Yeah, I think that's.
If you're attacking out of it, then you get to spend the offensive meter as well. Otherwise, you can't do the dive kick part.
And I'm just mainly hoping that they're gonna continue to support the game. That's my main thing. Yeah. I just want them to not support it for a year and then have the second year kind of be like.
Yeah. What I don't want is what happened in Injustice, which would be by January next year we have the complete edition with one last patch and just never to be fucking heard of from ever again, outside of just the closing of the second season of the Pro Circuit or something, and then just updates about mobile games.
That's the nail in the coffin. When you see the complete edition or whatever, or ultimate edition, you know that game is done.
Yeah.
They're not supporting
we're done
that anymore.
Yep.
Yeah, it's sad, but I mean, it's their cycle, I guess. Hopefully, after the 6th
It's cool. Like, when they're talking about DLC moves, I think they're just talking about moves that would be included, in a new patch. I don't think it's something that you'd necessarily maybe pay for.
Yeah, so that actually was one thing that I read that did make me a bit hopeful, was that they were thinking about that. But if they do something like that, that's definitely going to mean that they're going to plan to support it longer. So that does have me a bit excited.
And it will also, introducing that sort of stuff will change the meta. It will keep the game fresh.
Mm-hmm.
They can do a balance patch with kind of the existing things and introduce some new things, and the game will it'll have a fresh coat of paint.
Yep.
I know
new way to play your favorite character. Yeah, Dink knows a lot about paint.
I know a lot about paint. I can help you with
all
your
paint. Do you go hard
in
it, though?
Do I go hard in paint? Dude, you don't forget who you're talking to here. You need your primers, you need your industrial, got your stains.
I don't even know what you're talking about.
Oh, there you go. That's why I'm here. Help you with your Mortal Kombat skills.
Just go hard in the paint.
This boy knows what he's doing. So, lastly, I think we wanted to talk about what was it? What? How did you word that, Hater? You can go ahead. You had your big
What?
ender.
Oh no, how we usually like at the end of podcasts and stuff like that, we talk about. So, who is your most anticipated? Oh, who is your sort of thing? So now that we know all three of our new characters, so only 3 new characters this cycle, right?
Right.
And now that we know them all, maybe just go around and see what we think. So we have Geras, we have Cetrion, and we have Collector.
Yeah.
So let's go around the table clockwise. Dink, out of the newcomers, who do you feel best about?
I feel like I could get trolled for this, but Cetrion for sure.
I think that's a Dink character, like a dragon sort of character.
Yeah,
people that like to
she
play
just,
defensive and people that like to zone. Good
Yeah.
keep away.
Yeah, good keep away. Like, I don't know, just a solid moveset overall. Her animations look sick. Like, I don't.
She does look sick. Like, I know
Collector-
it was kind of critical before, but
Collector is a close second for me, but there's just something about Cetrion that I just really enjoy. Like, she just looks. And again, I haven't even seen like the full gameplay reveal from Game Informer. I just saw that one little trailer from that. I was like super excited. I'm like, that's my character right there. Like, and even just as a character, like a character that's not really involved, like kind of involved on the outside of all like the war and stuff.
the first
that's
time
going
we've
on.
seen an Elder God on the roster, right? We've seen fallen Elder Gods, we've seen gods, but this is the first time an actual Elder God has been on the roster, right?
It just the one thing that did ruin it for me was when they mentioned that it's Shinnok's sister, like, because like the first thing I think of is them like fighting at a Thanksgiving dinner or something, and it just
Right.
completely ruins like.
Mom, Shinnok's pulling my hair. He spit my cereal.
Cetrion's throwing
He's
rocks at
using his
me.
bone hands again.
Right. He's doing the weird. He's doing the.
Holy shit! Yeah, so I mean that part kind of killed it a little bit for me, but you know, gameplay wise and just and her voice actress, whoever, because we saw that short snippet in the was it old school versus new school trailer?
No, in the original story trailer.
The original story trailer. Yeah, I'm like 99% sure it's her. I just thought the voice was really cool too. So I don't know.
Yeah.
Cool.
That's mine. Who's next? Is it Shiro?
Shiro?
Okay. Yeah, Cetrion as well. I like all the shit that goes on with her. Despite the fact that the fatality is a bit extra in my opinion, but having played both Scarlet and Jade in the betas, I was like, ooh, another character with range. Fun. So
Oh yeah.
Right.
yeah,
No
Yeah, that's
shortage
kinda
in this
why.
game.
for sure. I'm still kind of looking at Cassie though, but yeah, she's definitely one character that I'm probably gonna try out a little bit, see if she might fit my playstyle or whatever.
Yeah, I'm glad that we're on the same board here with the Cetrion.
Cetrion.
I have my first tournament for Mortal Kombat 11 4 days after release.
Oh, nice. That would be a good character to pick up first day or whatever. That's going to be hard for people to handle.
Yeah, so I don't know. Everyone who's watching this, I'll be playing Cetrion, but I'm not going to release any footage of that before that tournament, so sorry.
No Dink Tech.
But that whole week I'm going to be spent making like combo videos, tutorials, and all like my basic stuff to help the newcomers to the series anyways, so I mean, I'll
It's just gonna be Scorpion teleporting.
Yeah.
Here's how you
Teleport
play.
down 2.
Here's a Liu Kang combo. Teleport.
Yeah.
Nah.
Teleport 50-50. And that brings us to you, Hater. Who are you most excited about?
Cetrion's probably not the one I'm most excited about. I was a little critical of her earlier. I don't think that she's that bad. I actually am a big fan of female characters in general. I love the whole Elder God thing. She's got this kind of like elegance, this grace to her that contrasts with like the brutality of Mortal Kombat in a very specific way that I really, really like.
For sure.
I feel like her design, like I was saying before, they could have gone like a little bit more like just full like Night Elf or Druid or Celestial, but not just like a little bit of both. But I'm a big fan of like Elementalist. She uses all of that stuff.
I really like that too.
Both Geras and Collector have command grabs, so they're probably more. She's only third because I think all 3 of the new characters look great. I don't think any of them are throwaway. I don't think we're in any sort of like combat kid situation.
It was a hard, hard choice for me too. But I don't know. I'm with you. They're all pretty cool.
I am probably going to try all 3. Geras, I've had my eye on for a while, but I've been looking at him for so long, and Collector's so fresh. I was not expecting that trailer today. And I'm so happy that they didn't do on the Combat Cast what they have in the past. We're like, okay, today we're talking about Jade. Let's roll the trailer. And it's like, you totally killed the fucking hype. Reveal it through the trailer, and then you can talk about her or whatever. And they didn't do that today, and it was awesome. I was not expecting that. I was expecting, like, Katana or maybe Devore or something. When he popped up in that, I was like, holy shit, just commanded my attention.
Yeah, I didn't...
And he's just like, I'm not much into like male characters for the most part, but he looks cool because he's like otherworldly. He's like a beast, like a monster.
There's so much going on with him. Like, he's
fucking Schmeagle. He's a little treasure goblin.
Oh,
yeah.
He's awesome. Like his little
Victor. Show him with a ring, like at the beginning.
Yeah, at the very beginning, he takes like his ring off his finger to like look at it, like to just, I don't know. And then his win pose is him like clutching his little bag that's full of all those coins and stuff. It's totally Schmeagle. He's like this selfish, little greedy sort of. I don't know. I really like the idea of him. His moves look cool. If it's anything like Scarecrow and Injustice, he probably won't be. For me, like playstyle, like if he feels the same way, like his normals and his strings and stuff.
He looks really unique. His strings look really fast. Like how everyone else, their strings are kind of like a little bit slower, more methodical between the hits. His seem to look more like MKX like strings.
Yeah, they were saying that it's not like he doesn't use like a traditional fighting style or anything like that. It's just like it's very kind of like he's like a weird character.
It's a good way to put it.
He's like this game's weird character. Every game's got to have one, and that's who it is this time around. And Geras is just a badass, a 7-foot black man. Just push your shit in.
Hell yeah, man.
That guy is. And the whole sand thing, all the sand stuff, all the time warp stuff that he has, I'm really excited to try him as well. I'm excited for all 3. If I had to choose one, I'd probably say Collector, and then a near, next would be like Geras and then Cetrion.
Yeah, that's fair. That's it's weird to me that there's only 3 new characters in this one, but I guess if you include Kronika, but I don't know.
I think they just really wanted to bring back, kind of reinstate I think they went overboard with the new characters in MKX, and they realized that, so they kind of really wanted to bring back
the classics.
Some core members that kind of missed out on MKX, a couple of the favorites from MKX. So we have like Devora, Erron Black, Kotal Khan. Am I missing anybody that was new in MKX that's made it?
Cassie, Jackie.
Yeah.
Black.
So what, 5 MKX characters? And then like our core cast that's been with us for like ever. Johnny Cage, Sonya Blade, Liu Kang, Kung Lao. Jax, I guess, to a degree. He's been in most games since he was introduced.
That's true.
Right?
I actually didn't think Jax was going to make it into this game. I don't know why I thought
I didn't think so either. I think he's going to have a big part of the story.
Yeah, I remember there was a lot of people saying that it was either going to be Jax or Jackie, and we got both.
We
did get both, and Jax is sporting Kronika's colors.
Yeah, man.
He's in that white and gold armor.
That's so interesting to me.
And he's got his regular arms back in one of those scenes. From the old school versus new school, he doesn't have his metal arms.
Oh, wow.
Really?
Yeah. That's part of that picture I sent earlier, that little collage.
Let's bring that up real quick. Let's discuss this if I can find out.
So these are things that other people have noticed. I kind of picked them up at first, and then I saw other people talking about it. I was like, okay, so I'm not crazy. Right away, people noticed that Jax was like in this white and gold sort of thing, and this is a very explicit design decision. Kronika is got the whole white and gold thing we saw with the mysterious robed figure, Frost. We've seen it with Geras.
Mysterious,
right.
Frost.
Right. That was my favorite question of that whole rapid fire thing or whatever. It's like, are you afraid the roster could leak before release? And he's like, the roster already leaked. Like, that was just the best. Oh, yeah. The best.
I was kind of surprised when I heard that, because like they had been very tight-lipped and like kind of pretending nothing had happened, kind of thing.
At this point,
straight up.
It's so candid though. Like, I think it's so good because he's always like kind of so like he smiles and kind of laughs a lot, but he's like got a very kind of direct sort of cadence, and he's not like seems like very just kind of like business oriented, and is almost I don't know. It was weird to see him be so candid and like laughing
True.
so much and just being kind of like relaxed.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I remember when I saw him like in the combat cast and in the C2E2, like he looked very tense.
He gets very rigid, right? I think he gets a little
Yeah.
stage fright. He
Yeah,
doesn't
it
It
like.
could be. And
he's
in
a
that
little
video, he just
awkward.
seemed like so chill.
I think he likes the idea of being in the spotlight a lot more than he likes actually being in the spotlight.
And doing a video like that as opposed to doing something live is a lot different too. So
Yeah.
Right. Those guys were talking about on their podcast about how they were all having lunch before that interview, before a bunch of series of interviews, and Ed Boon came in. That's the first they saw of Ed Boon, and he's being like really quiet and reserved, like how we normally kind of like see him. And they're like, "Oh, well, we've got this kind of interview kind of planned with him." They wanted to be kind of like just this fun rapid fire thing. They were like really kind of like worried that it might be kind of a downer and not go off the way that they wanted to, but they were super happy with the way that it turned out.
Oh yeah, it's not Ed Boon's first rodeo.
Right.
So there's rumors.
So-
There's a rumor mill going around that Frost is leading the Cyber Lin Kuei.
So,
you guys have heard about
yeah,
that.
and that kind of feeds into that one image. We see those Borgs that look like Triborg from MKX.
Yeah.
Like the way their faces look and all of that sort of stuff.
Very
And we
detailed
saw
for
the stage.
seemingly a throwaway character, by the way.
And
Yeah.
they also have white and gold on their armor.
I actually.
And we know that Frost is already aligned with Kronika, so maybe she is. Maybe this is another hint that I'm hoping that Frost isn't a fucking cyborg. Like, not Sector or Cyrax style. Maybe augmented, the way that they talk about Jackie's legs being augmented. No,
Right.
they're not replaced. They're not robotic. Like, they're just augmented. Like, I'm thinking like Deus Ex style or something.
Okay. Yeah.
So I'm hoping she'll be like, or think about like Nebula from Guardians of the Galaxy or something.
Yeah.
That's what I hope they do with her. And it looks like she is in kind of command with of those Borgs. They look like they're got the Kronika colors going on, and then Jax as well. I wonder how he ends up kind of like affiliated with
I was just
her, or what she's promised him, or
I was just going to ask you, what do you think your theory would be behind how Frost would even join Kronika in the first place?
I'm sure it was. We know Frost as being like the power hungry, irresponsible, irrational, like temperamental, not level headed sort of like person, right? And she looks very kind of almost pacified in that robe, almost concealing like her identity or something when we see her in the story trailer. And I wonder if Kronika just sees like the potential in her and has just worked with her to either harness that power or has maybe using her as a catalyst, right? So this is kind of like a half cyber sort of thing to where her emotions are throttled way back, or maybe they don't even exist anymore.
Right.
But there's power in her, right? And it's the power that she's wanted, that she knows that she's tried to harness but hasn't really, like, what was it? Was it Deception, where she stole the medallion and ended up just freezing herself because she couldn't control the power of the medallion?
Yeah, and then like Taven comes and unfreezes her, and then she attacks him thinking he's Sub-Zero. And
Right.
she's like, oh, and then she gets her ass kicked. She's like, oh, right. Oh, you're not Sub-Zero. So it runs away. Like,
You
Jesus.
played yourself.
So I wonder if it's some sort of like she's offered her the power that she so sought and helped her harness that sort of thing, or she's just being used as a tool. Kronika does not seem. They're calling her the first female villain, and I think she's only a villain because she's trying to undo time. But like in her, I guess every villain is the hero of their own story.
She's like an
But she
anti-villain, like
seems-
Thanos.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Like her motive is to basically
Like, she's probably just super
reinstate
strong.
balance. Once Raiden crossed the line and took Shinnok out of the game, basically disabled an Elder God, and now the good-evil balance is kind of like out of whack. Who knows what Kronika sees downstream of what this would just do anyway? It could be much worse than the fate they're trying to prevent by trying to stop her from doing whatever it is that she's doing.
That could be a pretty powerful scene in the story mode. Like, I would assume that's something that would be like saved like for like right before the climax. Like, what does Kronika see exactly that has her worried about this, or is it just the fact that she's losing the control and she doesn't like that? That's what
Yeah.
And my I just wanted to touch on the Frost thing again real quick. My theory around that whole why she ended up with Kronika is that because, like you mentioned, Frost is like super power hungry and irresponsible. She really thinks that she should be the one leading the Lin Kuei and not Sub-Zero. So she joins Kronika because Kronika convinces her that in another timeline, she could be the one leading the Lin Kuei and not Sub-Zero. that could also be a huge reason why we really haven't seen much fucking Sub-Zero at all. Really,
Right.
like he's one of the most popular characters in the franchise. They show off a ton of Scorpion. Sub-Zero, we really haven't seen much of him at all. He wasn't available in the beta. He wasn't. He was available at the reveal.
He's usually just been like the dummy, like the.
We saw him in a little bit in the old school versus new school, and we saw him in a little cutscene fighting all of these Cyber Lin Kuei at the C2E2 event. He and Scorpion were like kind of like paired up, and I'm wondering. So in the MKX comics, which Sean Kittleson did confirm was canon, despite the conflicts, I'm sure the game takes precedent over the comics, but for the most part, for all intents and purposes, the MKX comics are canon. Mm-hmm. And Sub-Zero went to great lengths to basically dismantle the Cyber Lin Kuei. So maybe it's kind of like an extra fuck you to Sub-Zero as well. Like, we're undoing all of your efforts, and we're going to use them in our favor.
Yeah, because the technology has been, found. It's there. The fact he's throwing it away, she's like, no, it's still powerful. What are you doing? And just tries to overthrow him with the Cyber Lin Kuei again. And of course, Sub-Zero is going to win because it's Sub-Zero, Sub-Zero, and Frost is Frost. She'll go back into, nothingness for another 10 years.
Yeah.
But
who knows? I'm excited to see her. I'm trying not to get ahead of myself until I actually can have a chance to play her or something. I'm trying not to fall in love with characters before I have a chance to actually play them.
She's another one that I'm super excited for this game. It feels like she's a new character because when she was in the games before, they just didn't have the technology or the time or the money to really further her too much as a character. They gave her a good base, but they didn't really go far with her. I feel like a lot of characters kind of ended up like that, but she was one that had like so much potential as a character. So now that they are in a good spot with Warner Brothers, where they have the time, they have the money, they have the crew to really make her into a good character. And I feel like the voice actress is such a huge part of this character. Like, you're basically restarting this character brand new. So making sure that you pick the perfect personality for her is going to be really, really important.
Dude, if she sounds like Red Hood, I'm just gonna die. Like, I just give up. Right? Comes out saying that kind of shit, like just being that edgelord. I'm done. Nope. Get this character out.
Shows up listening to like My Chemical Romance or some shit.
Jesus, right? You can't tell me what to do.
Yeah.
I haven't had a curfew since I was 16.
I do what I want.
I hope she's just not super
whatever. I do what I want.
I hope they give her a real personality. They give her some actual depth. She's always been like really one-dimensional, right? Like, we all know her as, and that's what people that don't want to see the potential in bringing her back, like in a new sort of like way, and maybe giving her a redesign the way they have some of these other characters. People that are just using history as evidence of how she'll just be shitty and she doesn't deserve to be on the roster. They have every reason to believe that, because personality-wise, there's not much to like.
Yeah, she's a pretty flat character.
Like her look and stuff like that. She's a pretty flat character, and she's kind of annoying.
Yeah, that's true.
They really have an opportunity to do this right, and I hope they do.
I'm sure they will. They usually, I don't know. When it comes to like story and character development and stuff, NRS is getting like really good at that. Since MK9, since the reboot, they've been doing an absolutely phenomenal job with that, in my opinion. Especially adding the comics to that as well. Like, they're just putting a lot of depth into the Mortal Kombat universe. So
this game has me interested in characters I've never been interested in ever. Like Kung Lao, I'll probably try, and I've always kind of liked him. He's kind of like a good guy, Shaolin monk, and he's always had just like the most brutal fatalities. And it always like really can feel like it's just the most gruesome shit, like almost Ermac levels of shit. But he looks so good. His redesign, all of his like effects, his new teleport animation, his new his little spin launcher thing, how they showed like the double spin combo and stuff. Like, he looks awesome. He looks so cool.
Unconvincing to me as a revenant though. Like, he's just walking around with like a super casual like smile on his face all the time, and it's like, you're supposed to be evil, man. Like, Liu Kang looked killer. Like, his revenant, he looked more evil and more angry than ever. And Kung Lao was just like, oh, hey, great to see you guys again. Oh, It's me? Oh, whoa.
That's one thing I noticed when playing Jade in the beta, is that Revenant Jade and regular Jade from the past are the exact thing. Like, I feel like they have the same lines. Like, Revenant Jade is saying shit that regular Jade should be saying, which doesn't fit, like, the whole Revenant persona. I'm wondering if Liu Kang and Kung Lao are going to be the same way. Like,
Yeah,
if they're going to have this kind of campy, lighthearted sort of stuff that's not going to really fit the Revenant aesthetic, or, like, where their mindset is as a Revenant.
Yeah. I mean, you're not wrong.
And we didn't talk about how much Cabal sounds like a chode. The redesign of Cabal, like, his personality fucking sucks.
Oh god, he's so annoying. Like,
gross.
Fallen.
Got the spins. Like, it wouldn't be so bad if he didn't do it every single time he did that move.
Dude,
every single time
Cabalin
he
is
said it,
the worst.
Yeah.
Oh, who thought the... Okay, so the guy that did do the stupid Quan Chi fatality does work for NRS, and he's the Cabalin guy. He's the guy that thought that was a good idea.
That's true. Ed Boo's just like walking past his desk like, great job, man. Another banger. Good job.
This is the same guy that created Captain Cold.
Oh.
Yeah, the guy that created Captain Cold. Absolutely.
Oh, he's so cringy.
Yeah, it's pretty bad. Like, it just doesn't seem to fit his personalities.
Like, he's supposed to be a thug, right? Like, that's
He's
not
been
how thugs
serious.
talk.
Like, historically, he's been kind of like serious. He could be a lot more ominous and brooding, but instead they
Yeah.
decided to make him a jackass, like a wisecracker.
Yeah.
Like Revenant Cabal. Your
they have
soul
to
has
give him a
been
personality that
harnessed
matches his
by
haircut.
a dark sorcerer. You probably have some willpower back now that he's dead. And you're, like, farting and cracking jokes and chewing bubblegum or, like, whatever.
Yeah. Pretty much.
I'm here to kick ass and chew bubblegum. And I'm all out of gum.
Gum.
Oh, God.
Oh, Duke Nukem.
Duke Nukem, yeah.
For DLC.
Oh, shit.
Oh, I never even considered that. That's actually... Dude, that might
People have
be-
talked about
does.
Doom Guy, and I think Duke Nukem would be... And if they do have Duke Nukem, they have to include that line.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
You can't not include that line. That's really the only thing Duke Nukem is famous for.
But he had that other line that was like, you bottom-feeding scum sucker, or like whatever it was.
I spent so many hours on Duke Nukem 64. Like, just, blowing shit up and blowing up toilets and shit.
Blowing up toilets.
Yeah, man. It's fun. Nintendo.
Now it's Erron Black.
Now it's Erron Black.
Yeah, he's got the dynamite.
Dynamite, yeah.
Jeez.
He's got TNT.
Then AC/DC starts playing.
Oh, no. Not that.
Oh,
Anything
God.
but that. I've talked extensively about my hatred for AC/DC.
I'm not a big fan either.
I saved that for the end of the podcast so that I don't get too many people unsubscribing right away, but...
Right.
It was like AC/DC, Guns N' Roses, and Kim fucking Mitchell. All three of those, if I hear those, I'm gone. See ya. Nope.
No Guns N' Roses, huh?
I don't know, like, they just sound like they're screaming. Like, it doesn't sound like singing to me. Like, it just, like...
Axl Rose does kind of sound like a dying cat sometimes. I ain't gonna lie.
Yeah, totally. I kind of respect like the guitars and shit, but just that style of singing is just so not me. But yeah, at the end of the day, this is coming from someone who pumps the Ariana Grande album on his way to work. So I obviously know I have no credentials.
Some of her jams.
I was listening to Kylie Minogue all day at work today. I have no shame.
Oh, Kylie Minogue! I haven't listened to
I
that in a
love
while.
Lady Pop. I'm a big fan.
It
It gets me in a good mindset for work.
I have the
It de-stresses me.
musical taste of a 14-year-old girl is what I always say.
Dude, seriously.
Oh man, where's
It's
the
easy.
Taylor Swift mixtape?
Right?
Oh, dude, I'll rock to some 1989 for sure.
T-Swizzle.
I know
T-Swizzle.
most of those lyrics by heart.
Everyone's, it's relatable, and you don't have to think about it. It's not like, some super deep
It's
lyrics.
just catchy. Pop That Big is a mathematical equation. You got people that just know the formula of what's going to sell, and it's literally like math, and it's infectious.
Yep.
There's a reason why it's catchy. There's a reason why it works.
At the end of the
Four
day,
chords.
it's just fucking music. People crucify each other over, oh, you don't like this, you don't like that. Like, it's just fucking music, man. If it makes you feel
How
good, it
dare
makes you
you
feel
not
good.
like the explicit genres of metal that I like?
Yeah.
Well, I feel like metal especially. I mean, we're getting like way
Yeah.
off topic, but I feel like we're wrapping
Oh,
up,
yeah.
right? But
Yeah.
metal especially, when I was growing up, it was like keyboards are for pussies, and
Oh my god, no.
people are like just all or nothing. And as I got older, I feel like a lot of the metal scene, they started experimenting a lot more and infusing. So now you've got like the sludge and the psych and all sorts of things that have never I wouldn't say never, but is a lot more prominent like in metal these days. People
And
are
shit,
feeling a
dude,
lot
like-
more like experimental, a lot more synths, a lot more atmosphere and
like
ambience.
A badass keyboardist.
Yeah.
I've been jamming out to some Ghost recently.
Ghost Roadhouse. That's not anything to do with Ghost, but it just reminded me of it for some reason.
Oh, Patrick Swayze.
Roadhouse.
He was in that movie,
Patrick Swayze.
Yeah.
I used to fuck guys like you in prison.
Clearly the singer of Ghost.
Roadhouse.
Clearly the singer of Ghost.
Roadhouse.
Roadhouse.
That's the best line. That's the best line in cinematic history. From Roadhouse.
It's true, man. You can't get any better than that. Like the callback.
It doesn't.
I'm gonna be forward about this. I've never seen Roadhouse.
You need to for that one line. You'll laugh. You can turn it off after that, but
it's all downhill after that. But
dude, it's the best. It's funny every time. Like, not that I've seen it a bunch. I've seen it a few times, but it always makes me laugh. And it's not supposed to. It's one of those things that's supposed to be serious, but it's
like an old horror movie or something.
Like, they're trying to kill each other. They're like wrestling around outside, punching each other, all fucking bloody, and the guy's like, I used to fuck guys like you in prison. Like, is that supposed to be, like, intimidating? Like, what's happening here? Are you trying to fuck me or kill me? What's happening?
Oh my god. And then fangirls everywhere screamed.
Yeah, just the manliest statement.
For all 4 feet 11 inches of Patrick Swayze.
Oh, Jesus.
Rest in peace. Respect for the dead.
All right, guys. Well, that's going to be it for the podcast today. If you have any comments about anything we talked about, leave them in the comments below. I've been checking the comments on the podcast. Haven't really had much to really discuss because we were going to take a couple comments that people had and talk about them at the start of the next podcast, but no one's really said much. So spill your mind, man. Let us give you a shout out. I really just want to give you a shout out. Just post something, anything.
Get your name up on the screen.
Yeah, free advertising. Man.
Cheryl will craft a joke for you.
Specifically
your favorite,
for you.
Recipes so we can steal them.
Yeah.
Oh, I saw a scorpion pun earlier. I totally forgot about it. I even put it in Discord so I wouldn't fucking forget. Shiro in your best Shiro in your best Ben Shapiro voice. I need you to do a Ben Scorpiro. Do like a good get over here or something.
Oh jeez, how would he say it? If you like get over here, liberal.
Get over here, liberal.
You just won for me. You just won the internet.
I've been looking forward to that all day.
Oh my goodness.
See the thing about the Shirai Ryos, we're on the Lin Kuei. They're always gonna try to derail the argument. That's why you can't trust the Lin Kuei. Just never talk to them. There's no point.
I offered Young Ling $10,000 to come on here and debate me, and he.
Stop it! I can't breathe. Oh my god!
Many years ago, you knew a guy, Bihan. All right, guy, whatever. And then
I killed him on accident. What the fuck? Can you blame me? I was manipulated.
and he just dies. He gets taken over by Quan Chi, probably for being a huge anti-Semite. Whatever.
and now he's back, and the sorcerer doesn't have any control over him. Right? Is he coming for me? Should I be scared? I ain't no pussy.
My wife's a doctor.
Wait, has Ben Shapiro ever said pussy?
I don't know.
I've got to worry about no nether realm sorcerer, right? My wife is a doctor.
My wife is a doctor. Oh, yeah. You've never mentioned that, really? Tell me what.
No. Oh, I saw a video where he was like, where some college kid was talking to him, and like towards the end of the debate, he's just like, your wife's a doctor, right? And he's all like, yeah. Oh, okay. Because we've been talking this much and you haven't brought it up yet.
Dude, that's funny.
Oh, that's hilarious.
Yeah. That's great.
All right. On that note, I actually do have to end this. So,
all right.
Thanks everybody for listening. Hope you enjoyed it. Subscribe if you haven't, and we'll probably do one more of these before the release because it's in 3 weeks. Holy crap!
Yeah, 2.5 weeks. 2 weeks from Tuesday, right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So I'm assuming you had a good prediction with
3 weeks from Tuesday.
Ladies of Combat probably next week or the week after. And then the whole roster will be out, and we'll know everybody, and then we can talk about the whole thing and what we're excited about. So, usually do it either Fridays, Saturdays, at about 7 o'clock Pacific, 10 Eastern. And if you're in good old Texas or someplace central, 9 p.m. Central Time. All right, well, thanks again, guys. Hashtag Bonehawks. Hashtag Big Dink Energy. And we'll we'll see you in the next one.